Australia's vast landscape is home to thousands of flora and fauna species. Amongst the huge range of chordate species in Australia, almost 42% of them are endemic. Although Australia has an enormous biodiversity, it is under immense pressure. Chronic stress on the environment has resulted in many species of animals becoming endangered. In the world today, the destruction and alteration of habitats facilitated by human involvement is one of the leading causes of species decline. In 2009, a government report detailed that there are 227 species of amphibians living in Australia, and that 94% of these amphibians are in fact native. Unfortunately, nearly 14% of the Australian amphibians are currently under threat, with 4 species listed as extinct and 2 critically endangered. One of these critically endangered species is the southern Corroboree frog. The Corroboree frog is located in alpine regions of New South Wales within the Kosciuszko National Park. Up until the middle of the 1980s, the southern Corroboree frog population was well and truly stable. Since the 80s, the numbers have continually decreased, and there is currently an estimated 50 adult frogs remaining in the wild. The southern Corroboree frog lives within subalpine regions of the Snowy Mountains. The drop in population numbers has been heavily influenced by the loss of habitats and the effects of climate change. The reduction of seasonal precipitation as a result of climate change threatens the alpine regions of the Kosciuszko National Park by lowering water tables and leading to breeding pools drying up. As a result, droughts will affect the breeding patterns, and the ability of the Corroboree frog population to recover significantly shrinks. Another major threat to the southern Corroboree frog is the amphibian chytrid fungus. This fungus was not present in the species before the drop of frog populations in the 1980s. The fungus infects the keratin layers of the amphibian skin, causing defects and creating huge breathing problems for the animal. The skin becomes thicker, and eventually the amphibian will die of cardiac arrest. The outcomes of climate change over the past few decades have significantly affected the natural moist environments of the Kosciuszko National Park that these ground-dwelling amphibians require to survive. Between 1976 and 1984, a drought occurred that decreased the size of the breeding grounds used by the Corroboree frogs and caused local disappearances of small populations in the area. Currently, several organisations are turning to captive breeding programs to help this amphibian species recover. Numerous management breeding programs are occurring all over Australia, with the most successful being Taronga Zoo and Melbourne Zoo, which together in 2013 produced over 1,400 fertile eggs. Taronga Zoo has joined several organisations including the Amphibian Research Centre, Department of Environment and Conservation New South Wales, as well as being part of the National Recovery Program, all of which aim to save the Corroboree frog. Taronga's objective is to collect eggs from the wild and raise the frogs in their conservation centre before being reintroduced into the wild. Melbourne Zoo has also raised Corroboree frogs and tadpoles since 2001 as part of the National Recovery Program. The intensity of captive breeding programs needed to be increased after traumatic bushfires swept through the Kosciuszko National Park. Maintenance of breeding grounds has also been a crucial management plan for the survival of this native amphibian species. The Australian Alps supports the entire population of the southern Corroboree frog, and there is a large need to preserve as much of the environment and landscape as possible in order to preserve the genetic diversity within the species. Concerns regarding climate change are becoming more evident, and recent predicted trends of the environment show an increase in average annual air temperature, which would potentially remove the alpine climate of the Snowy Mountains. This in turn would significantly alter the Corroboree frog's chances of survival. This critically endangered species is at the verge of extinction. For years now, several organisations have come together to develop programs to save this dwindling species, all the while the impacts of nature and climate change are challenging their work. The road to recovery may be a slow one, but it is so very clear that without the help of researchers and human intervention, the Corroboree frog will become extinct.